Hi, it's me Leo, back again with another video. So I might sound a little bit nasally in this video because I am a little bit ill. In this video we're going to be taking a look at a cheaper alternative for the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. So the company EasySMX sent me a controller. This is the T39 Pro. So in this video we're going to have a closer look at this controller, have a look at the good and the bad. Should you save a little bit of money and get one of these or buy the official Nintendo Pro controller, stay tuned. So I do want to say that EasySMX did send me this controller for free to review, but I haven't been told to say anything specific about this controller, so I will give my honest opinion. So before we get on with this video, if you do enjoy, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're nearly at 3,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. Don't forget to hit the bell icon and you'll never miss an upload. So hopefully you enjoy, let's get on with it. So as I mentioned, the T39 Pro is a cheaper alternative to the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. So the Nintendo Switch Pro controller will set you back about £50, whereas you're able to pick up one of these T39 Pros on Amazon for about £16, which is substantially cheaper. There'll be a link in the description to where you can buy one of these from Amazon. So we're going to start off by having a look at what you get in the box when you buy one of these controllers. So the box is nothing special. So obviously in the box you have the controller itself. There's also a USB-C cable to charge the controller. There's also an instruction booklet, so you can read through that if you want to find out how to set up the controller with different consoles. So this controller is obviously intended for the Nintendo Switch, but you can also use this controller with other devices such as PC, Steam Deck, and even a smartphone. So pairing this controller with my Nintendo Switch was actually very simple. There's a large pairing button in the middle of the controller that you just need to press, and then there's a light on the controller that starts flashing. And to pair this controller with your Nintendo Switch, you just have to navigate to the change grip and order setting on the Nintendo Switch. And it was just a case of turning the controller on and pressing the bumpers, and it automatically paired with the console. So I am happy to say that the pairing process with the Nintendo Switch is actually very simple. So that's a thumbs up from me. The next thing we're going to move on to is how does this controller actually feel in the hand? This is arguably one of the most important factors when picking up a controller, because if you're going to be spending hours playing games with this controller, you want it to be comfortable. And I am happy to report that this controller is fairly comfortable in the hand. So if you're someone that's been using the joypad that comes with the Nintendo Switch, then this is going to be a massive upgrade. This feels way more comfortable than this. In terms of the layout of buttons, this is probably most similar to an Xbox controller. In the hand, it does feel very similar to an Xbox controller. I would say after kind of holding both an Xbox controller and this controller, I would say the Xbox controller does feel a little bit better than this, and that's mainly down to the textured grips on the back of the Xbox controller. The back of this controller isn't actually that grippy, but it doesn't matter. This still does feel a lot better than using the joypad. This joypad here. Also, something I was surprised with is the build quality of this controller. This is a very sturdy feeling controller. Just by holding this controller in my hand, I can feel that it feels like it's put together very well. There's hardly any creaking. For a controller that you can get for less than £20, the buttons on this controller do feel quite expensive. So all the buttons on this controller do feel very nice to press. None of the buttons are sticky or particularly loud. They all just feel very good. And I was also very impressed with the bumpers and the triggers on the back of the controller. This is something that's quite easy to mess up, but it does feel like this controller's got it right. There's a decent amount of travel, and the bumpers specifically, they're actually quite satisfying to press. So one maybe questionable aspect of this controller is the design. It is an interesting design, but essentially it's got the coloured plastic underneath, and then there's like a clear faceplate of plastic over the top of the controller. So this design to me is fine. This design does sort of make the controller look a little bit more like a toy, but it is a controller for the Nintendo Switch, so I can kind of let that slide. And I do feel that the fact that this controller has two layers to the structure of it, it does help it feel more sturdy. That's probably why there's no creaking at all when I try and bend the controller, which can be the case with other controllers. So some other features of this controller is it does come with a USB-C charging and transfer cable. You can use this USB-C port to charge the controller, or you can actually use this controller wired if you want to. So it is quite nice that it gives you the option. Unlike an Xbox controller, this T39 Pro doesn't have any removable batteries. Instead, it comes with a 600 mAh rechargeable battery inbuilt. So it's more similar to a PlayStation controller in that aspect. And the battery in this controller is quoted to last about 21 hours. But I do want to say that this controller was fully charged when I first got it. And after a few days of using the controller, it's still got more than 50% battery left. So the battery does seem very good. So this controller does come with a D-pad, so it should be better for fighting games than the standard Joy-Con. So EasySMX also states that the joysticks on this controller have non-contact magnetic sensors. So what that means is this controller has a very low probability of developing joystick drift, which you'll probably know it has been a problem for a lot of Joy-Cons. So it is nice to see that in this controller. And by going with this T35 Pro over the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, so you actually aren't missing out on any features. This controller comes with a gyroscope, so you'll be able to use the gyroscope function in certain games that utilize it. This controller also comes with vibration motors, but there have been a few things with this controller that I believe could be improved. The first thing that I noticed was actually the vibration motors in this controller were a little bit overwhelming. So the game was sending what would be a very subtle vibration on the Joy-Cons to this controller. And for some reason this controller was producing a very strong vibration, so my hands were like constantly rumbling while I was playing the game, which isn't an issue because I was able to go into the game and turn off vibration completely, but it's just annoying that the vibration motors in this weren't able to produce kind of like a very fine background vibration. It reminds me a little bit of the kind of vibration motor in an Xbox 360 controller. So although this controller does come with some pretty decent controller vibration, it's a little bit too strong and coarse for my liking, and it just wasn't tuned quite right for Nintendo Switch games. So that was one of my main criticisms while playing with this controller. So to conclude, I have been very impressed with the EasySMX T39 Pro. That's a mouthful, but I remembered it. So I have actually been very impressed with this controller. You think about it, you can get 3 of these controllers for the price of one Nintendo Switch Pro controller. So it is great value for money. And so if you do like the look of this controller, I've put a link to it in the description below, and also a link to EasySMX's website, so you can check them out if you are interested. And if you've bought this controller yourself, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you have enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a like, and I will see everyone in my next video.